I should probably listen to this.
Hello again. The food and the beer is now available, if you did not know. Beer is free.
Somebody say beer.
The little fake money in your bags to buy your food, so that's free, sort of, as long as you don't spend more than 10 bucks. Unfortunately, the How to Suck AlgoSec talk has been canceled. The Cheese Man, unfortunately, couldn't be here, so we moved AlgoSec up. It's 11:30, so here's John Abrams. Enjoy.
Thank you very much. My name is John Abraham. I'm a systems engineer for AlgoSec. If you don't know what we do, we actually are in the area of providing firewall analysis as well as firewall optimization. We've got quite a few patents on our technology. I'm here today to talk more about the problems associated with gaining control of your firewall policy as opposed to more product oriented. So if you guys have any questions regarding the product itself, come by our booth. We can spend as much time as you'd like. I traveled from the West Coast to be here to join you folks today, and got to tell you, I really love it out here. I had a salesperson outside that told me that the weather stays like this, between 60 and 40 degrees year-round. So I'm planning on moving here immediately. Anyways, let me go ahead and get started. I would normally I'd have you ask questions, but if you could save your questions till the end, I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have. Today I'm going to be talking to you about gaining control of your firewall policy. The three sections that I have are increasing firewall security and complexity. What are the challenges that organizations are faced with today in terms of being able to maintain control of their firewalls, given the state of where we're at from a security standpoint. We all know that firewalls have become very complex, and there's quite a bit of how would you say, experience necessary to manage those. And we'll talk about some of the challenges that you folks are facing out there. The next section is talking about what's impacting network operations, and finally benefits to your business once you do get a handle and you do gain control of your firewall policy. Increasing firewall security complexity. These are basically, I went through and listed some of the bullets that we're faced with today, that we're challenged with, from being able to accurately manage the policies within firewalls. It seems like a lot of organizations, whether your public sector, private sector, education, what have you, everybody is running on a pretty tight budget in terms of personnel. The resources could be constrained. Starting at the top here, we've got frequency and number of rule changes. When we're talking to customers, this is one of the first questions that we ask. We try to find out, how often they make rules to accommodate the business. This one comes up quite often. Rules, in the hundreds, either on a daily or a weekly basis, is not an uncommon requirement for them. And so being able to implement rules so that you're not opening yourself up to vulnerability, you're not leaving yourself open with a poor firewall posture. There's also, introducing emerging applications. Sometimes organizations get very, very maybe ahead of themselves because they have deadlines. They want to go ahead and pin up new applications, support new applications in the organization in order to add new features, open up new business units. If it's a private sector or a public sector rather, perhaps there are special projects that are being worked on And so sometimes we get ahead of ourselves by implementing applications without doing the actual testing ahead of time. Limited staff, I think that this is one of the things that I see is very common to all of the customers that I come in contact with, is that they have a myriad of jobs that they perform, any one individual person. So it becomes very important to the organization to have those roles for those particular individuals defined, so that not only defined, but also you know, so that they understand what responsibilities are associated with their job titles, and they're able to accommodate any issues, any planning, any activities that crop up that surround the security posture of the firewall. We also see staff attrition or rotation. You may have individuals that have been with the company for quite a while that rotate in or out. Either they're moving to other companies or within other departments. Some of the administration of rules that they have left behind could be either outdated, or there may not be a valid explanation as to, you know, what the rule was originally intended, what the policy was originally intended to do. And so gaining a better understanding as that person leaves, you know, ideally it would be nice to know ahead of time, you know, what the purpose of a section of the policy was meant to do. So this is definitely a big issue for a lot of the customers I'm dealing with. Also, the ability to kind of offload the initial trouble ticketing or the initial processing of trouble calls, being able to train a help desk staff so that they can understand the difference between whether it's a driver problem on a workstation versus a networking issue. You know, we've got challenges there. Also, long planning phases for policy changes. The idea here is that if you're making policy changes, you know, what is the time from the initial plan? Hopefully, there's a lot of thought that's put into identifying a policy change and then running it through an approval process. And then mistakes during the planning phase. I call this kind of the you know, shooting yourself in the foot syndrome. The second slide in this section, also company and business expansion. You know, depending upon the organization, perhaps you are all of a sudden faced with the need to expand the corporation or the organization's network. You know, how do you go about that without opening yourself up to vulnerability? Time needed to assess firewall and risk posture. This is a real challenge for a lot of folks because in the old days and even up to today, sometimes the administration, the examination of policies has to be done on a line-by-line basis. What this translates to is the potential for human error. It also translates in the possibility for mistakes to be made. Also, compliancy. This is a very, very, very hot button, depending upon the compliance standards that the organization needs to adhere to. And so, being able to accurately identify where you're in compliance, more importantly, where you're out of compliance, is you know, key to a successful policy. Also, report justification to upper management. You know, to be able to justify that, you know, what is the state of the organization? What is the state of security? What's the state of supporting not only the existing applications, but emerging applications throughout your organization? It can be very time consuming. Poorly written apps. We're faced with this quite often. If there's a brand new application that touts it's going to help save the organization money, it's going to help reduce capital expenses, things of that nature, may not want to be so quick to jump into supporting an application without actually taking a look at the performance to make sure that it's reliable and it's written cleanly. Also, heterogeneous networks. This is another area of interest and concern. We, from time to time, see customers that are moving from perhaps one vendor's hardware to another vendor's hardware. It seems as though in the encounters with my customers, I would say probably 40%, maybe even 50% are in some state of transition where they're actually looking at migrating in or migrating out hardware. And so what they'd like to be able to do is plan very effectively, very thoughtfully to migrate in either a lower cost solution or a solution, you know, in the case of a firewall that provides the same or even better protection without you know, having to perform brain surgery or cancer research, you know, in the process of that. So heterogeneous networks provide a major challenge as well. In some cases, organizations, you know, do they have a firewall at all? This can be a challenge. There have been instances where, you know, large organizations have been overtaken, compromised, because you know, perhaps they thought that they actually didn't need a firewall. They didn't need perimeter protection from the outside, and it's only a matter of time before you know, the surveillance is performed and the weak points, the chink in the armor, is actually discovered. Moving into the final slide of this particular section, you know, rogue applications. And just so that you know, I believe that rogue is spelled correctly instead of rouge. So if you look it up, if you go to dictionary.com, I believe it is R-O-G-U-E. So rogue applications that may be introduced either with or without the help of the employee. And what I mean by that is somebody introduces an application inside the network that's totally unauthorized. You know, how do you identify that rogue application? How do you deal with it? How do you identify it and close up the possibility that it can permeate outside of the network? Also, changing network topologies. Somebody makes a change that's possibly undocumented. These are you know, pretty serious changes. Hopefully, you know, the organization has a change management process in place so that, you know, changes can be done in a thoughtful, methodical, and a company-wide approved method. And then centralizing, you know, no centralization of firewall policies. So, you know, being able to have a very healthy, clean, effective policy is essential for any organization today. In the case of you know, catastrophic failure to parts of the organization or what have you. The last four bullets are, you know, internal to the firewalls themselves. If you've got rules that are inefficient, maybe you've got going back to, you know, personnel rotating in and out of the company. Perhaps a rule has become ineffective because there's no longer a reference made to it any longer because the application has actually been aged out. Inefficient rules, rules that are virtually unused. They could be taking space up in memory and not really serving a purpose, occupying CPU, memory resources, and so forth. Orphaned and unused objects. These three slides by no means are complete. I mean, I just wanted to go through, and I didn't intend to, you know, provide. It's not a scare tactic thing. But when they said, "Hey, we want you to present, but no product," so I went ahead and got into what some of the challenges are that are facing the organizations. So, what is impacting the network operations? At my company, we ask a lot of questions of our customers. We ask them for feedback, not only in terms of performance. We also ask them, you know, what is their level of satisfaction with the product today? What possible features that they want to look into for us to develop and add into the product. So out of a survey of over 100 security professionals done back in, I believe this was done in February, the most common cause for security network outages focused primarily in the area of human error in the configuration. So this could be due to, you know, either being understaffed, you know, having so many responsibilities that the person involved in the configuration doesn't fully understand what the actual configuration needs to be. It can be, you know, errors that take place in haste. poorly documented procedures for doing the upgrade. Some of the other ones are, flaws in the gateway, capacity overloads, and so forth. What we see, how are you investing today? The idea the idea that a firewall device is going to protect you is only as good as if you kind of compare that. Look at an analogy of a tool. Maybe it's a knife or a kitchen knife that you're using to cut tomatoes, cut whatever it is to put in your salad. You could have the most expensive knife in the world, but if it's not tuned, if it's not sharp enough, basically you're going to squash a tomato instead of cutting it. When I look at the amount of money that's spent on hardware, it's amazing. Again, getting back to the complexity of the firewalls, customers are getting what they paid for. But if you weigh out how they're managing those devices, sometimes they may not have an even or a balanced idea of what it takes for care and feeding of that particular device. And so configuration management, we're seeing more and more is being demanded and utilized to be able to get the most out of the features and capabilities that the customer has paid for. Again, tremendous amount of sophistication in the firewall technologies today, and being able to manage them accurately is paramount, so that you're getting the most for your dollar, as well as not opening yourself up to vulnerabilities. This particular slide gets into again, what are some of the challenges? Performing manual firewall audits today can be very tedious, time-consuming. How do we shorten that? How do we help customers to become compliant in a shorter amount of time with the level of staff that we have? Also, according to Gartner, more than 95% of firewall breaches are caused by firewall misconfigurations, errors, not firewall flaws themselves. Maybe a customer testimonial, without automated firewall management tools, it could take you quite a bit longer to perform the compliancy scanning and to become compliant. So, what are some of the benefits to your business if you do adopt a sound practice of policy change management within your organization? What you'll find is that optimization of the firewalls, you will be assured that you're getting the most out of the firewalls rather than guessing. This could be as simple as reordering rules, making use of objects that should be used, but perhaps they're not associated, they're not part of the actual rule that they were intended to be. Policy built around the firewall capabilities and limitations. Again, understanding the type of device, being able to look at how it's performing today, as well as making recommendations on how to improve the capabilities of that. And then also looking at, if we do decide, through our change management, if we do decide to ultimately terminate a rule, age out a rule, or modify or insert new rules, are we going to be exceeding the capacity of that device? It's very important during the planning phases, during the rule modification, that you take a look at that. Eliminating the cowboy changes to our firewall rules. My head marketing guy loves to use this. The cowboy effect is where perhaps something is cropped up, an issue has come up, in the middle of the day, and something needs to be done in order to stem this outage or this failure in the network, and it can be compounded by through the use of implementing an improper rule to guess or to try to fix the original problem. The other thing is establishing an organized change control process. If your organization doesn't already have a change control process, this is something that is extremely valuable. I can tell you in designing WAN optimized networks or other security networks where you see performance problems, what happens is you gather all of the research, or you gather all of the respective parties, the workstation group, the development group, the networking guys, the security guys, and going through an extensive diagnostics, you find out one of the groups hasn't, maybe the application isn't performing as it was originally intended. Maybe it's very, very, very inefficient. The change control process solicits buy-in from all of the organizations, from all of the departments within the organization. So everything is known to all departments that are making the decision to cast their votes on whether to support or not support an application. Also, enable businesses to support defined service level agreements. So if your organization has published service level agreements, having the ability, having the support, the processes to be able to support those SLAs is extremely important, because if you define SLAs, typically you're going to be rated on them. You're going to, your reviews, your annual reviews are going to hinge upon those pretty greatly. And then, very important, shorten the preparation time for audits so that you can be not only most accurate, but it doesn't become a drag on you, on the organization, and your department. Another benefit, remediate day-to-day issues in a much shorter time. This is key to being able to solve issues that crop up, being able to put them at rest much sooner. Another important one is trending of risk postures. This is extremely helpful when it comes time to justifying the need for additional equipment, additional resources, when it comes time to pin up or support new applications. This goes a long way with management, with the folks that actually sign the purchase orders or the offer letters to folks that are coming into the organization. Very important, preserve and improve the organization's reputation. Your organization doesn't want to have a tarnish against it because of a mistake that was made and a vulnerability that permeated into the network due to misconfigured firewall. Provide improved justification for funding. Improve the business continuity, just for the sake of the business, to help the bottom line in terms of profit and loss. And then ultimately, reducing the risk is really the bottom line. Reducing the risk, optimizing the existing policy. So there's a lot of resources to help you determine what is needed. If your organization doesn't yet have a policy, very important to examine and pull down some literature, some documentation that will actually help you accomplish that and successfully prevent any intrusions into your network, get the most out of your equipment, be a happy company. That's pretty much all I have in terms of the slideware. Again, I wasn't prepared to talk about the technology at this session, but if you'd like to come by our booth, we could talk to you, about the capabilities of what AlgoSec provides. Basically, it's a passive technology that provides a whole lot of value for a little bit of money. Any questions out there? So since there are no questions, I'd like to go ahead and thank you for your attention. Thanks for attending, and it's been my pleasure to speak with you today, and hope to see you soon by the booth. Thank you very much.